Good morning, my brothers and sisters. This is Grace Changes Everything, part 86. It's 1:55 a.m. in the morning, Thursday, the 3rd of March, 2022, here in Perth, Western Australia. Now, this video pulls no punches. That's an Aussie term. In other words, no bullshit. Because we're going to talk about soul tonight. And there's a reason for it. I had a diagnosis yesterday from the doctor that if I don't lose 30 kilos, I could end up bedridden or even die, because I'm diabetic and I have this, I'm not sure what the word is, sleeptopia. If I eat even the lowest amount of carbs throughout the day, I can sleep up to 4 hours. At night time, I can get away with it. In fact, I don't need a sleeping tablet because I take one dose of carbs, which is high in sugar, but that'll knock me out. I have a good night's sleep. All right. Now, I have to change my diet starting from tomorrow. The doctor even told me all these protein bars that I'm eating, even though it says it has no sugar and it's low carb, there's probably hidden sugars in it. And I'm eating snacks all day long. And sometimes I will do the intermittent fasting, and I do lose the weight. But what happened is that during the fast, I had more craving for the nicotine vice or habit, which I've had for decades. All right. If I don't have that nicotine, I end up smoking. It's just the one thing which is totally legal that helps me to calm me, and it also is like anti-religious chemical drug for me, because it snaps me out of all that nonsense. Okay, but unfortunately, it's catching up with me. All right, I drink decaf coffee. Too much caffeine gives me rapid heartbeat. I hardly drink. I'd have a couple every few times a month, and mainly for medical reasons. Great for constipation and so forth. I'm not bothered about the drink. I had no problem there. Now let's talk about the soul, because this is an issue here, and I'll relate it shortly to my Indian ex, who I've just spoken for the last, how many hours? 3 or 4 hours on the phone about her suicidal tendency, stuck in the soul. And I totally empathize with why she feels the way that she does and why there is no escape. It seems the rich does get richer. Those who live with prosperity, proactive, and that can even apply to atheists, because ignorance is bliss. They seem to get away with it, live their whole life. They're not even attacked by ghosts or demons. And you think, where's God in all of this? There are people that are literally suffering in this world, no matter what they do, or they make the wrong choices financially, or they just bad luck. They miss out on buying the house that they want because they're, say, $20,000 short. Like the situation with my ex's family, to set her up, and they put the price up by 20 grand, and they missed out on a house right next door to my Indian ex's daughter and a husband and kids. Right? A chance in a lifetime. And the neighborhood was right near a shopping center and everything. Why did God allow this? And then she's now living with them in a house so far away that I can't even go and visit now and then. And I do like to see the step grandkids. And the second night that I was there over Christmas, attacked by bloody demons and ghosts. And we had that in the last house before we separated, and marriage ended 2010. So it seems to follow you wherever you go, right? The ripple effects. Now, this is a video about soul. When we're starving, we have bugger all, we've got nothing, we're trying to survive. And I'm talking to all you Christians out there and religious people. When you've got nothing, it is you have got a choice. You could go into spirit if you can overcome loneliness, and you don't need anyone. Like Apostle Paul, he was celibate. He didn't care. He was rejoicing in the spirit while he's being tortured with ball and chain in the prison at the Isle of Patmos, to his death and execution. Not everybody's going to be rejoicing in the spirit when they're being tortured, all right? And there are people out there are actually being tortured. It's almost like God sits back and allows these things to happen, no matter what you do, all right? So let's get to the point here. I want this video to help people out there, because there's more people suffering in this world than probably the ones that are well off, all right? The ripple effect, because of the choices that we make. Now, if I had my life all over again, my dad was really stable financially. Like, he avoided the hippie era that was going on when I was in my youth, and when the Beatlemania was happening, the band, the Beatles. I went and brought a $10,000 electric grand piano to play in a band, And my dad came up to me and said, "You give me that 10 grand because I got a loan, and I'll put all that money and buy grandmother's house, and you can have it." And I would not give up that piano. The hippie era meant everything to me. I look back and I think, well, it was a great experience, but everyone was on drugs except me. And I was a virgin too, right up to the age of 23. I went through that era. It was fantastic. It was fun, right? But if I had accepted the offer that my dad gave me and took my grandmother's house, which was really cheap at the time, I would have made $1 million on that, or close to it, right near the beach and everything. And then that, I could have sold that and brought houses after house after house. That's how my dad did well, right? He was a motor mechanic by trade, and hardworking to the core, honest and everything. Never cheated, lie, or steal. He was just that good. He would have made a great Christian. And he did accept more towards the grace than any religion. And he even told me about it, and I wouldn't even listen. I was caught up in religion and the Mormon church. So my dad, where he is now, he would meet my godparents, who he chose to be, my Auntie Esther, who preached this grace. And I used to go around to her house, and it would be smelling all fruity and like perfume everywhere. And my godmother never put perfume on, completely natural, looked like Katharine Hepburn from the movie star, the classic, and even had Parkinson's disease, the same as Katharine Hepburn. And there was always this beautiful smell. And I said to Auntie Esther, "What is that smell?" And she said, "The Holy Ghost. The sweetness, essence of the Holy Ghost." It was so pure. I know she's gone home to God, or wherever she is, she will be with God. And Uncle Bob stood by her all her life. He used to be an alcoholic, gave up the booze, took her to church every Sunday, the Salvation Army, and he used to have his dog in the car. One dog after the other was the same looking dog. He just loved the dog and called it Blackie. And he would wait. He'd wait in the car until Auntie Esther came out of church. So that's my phone ringing. I shall ignore it. Yeah, I just had a 3 or 4 hour chat with the Indian ex. That could be her ringing, actually. She was suicidal. I really had to help her out, even though things didn't work out for us. Okay, so yeah, if I could turn around and say, "Here's $100,000, go and Go and put that towards the house that you desire, because the kids were putting in the money to do that. See, if I had listened to my father, I would be helping people now. All right. Now I've got my life saving situation, but I can't just go and spend it on boats and cars and things. I've got my own house, right? I'm not going to. Well, I don't want to leave there. So, but the thing is, all I want to do is help people. I don't need all that money, and I used to travel a lot, and I used to always have money for travel. And with this pandemic, I haven't traveled for years. All right. So if I'm a preacher of this grace, love, and relationships and so forth, I have something to offer. And I had the empathy to listen to my ex tonight without any bickering and fighting. I'm not talking about the ex of the Temple Mormon Church. She won't listen to me. She has hatred towards me. Never got over all the little sins or big sins to her, which is totally forgotten about. And anyway, it was not really a sin if it's agreed in marriage on those other levels. But we're talking about the other levels, and that's the soul, all right? Because spirit is an aspect of the highest level of soul, and one goes to the light, the other is more in a darker realm, okay? Let's just talk about the soul for a moment, because I'm going into soul because of my diet. I know it's not going to be easy. I have to give up my protein bars, and except if I have one at night, right? I can't eat during the day. I've got to go fast maybe to 5 o'clock every day, except every now and then I will have a cheat day. I know what I feel and what I go through, starving all day, because my ex said to me, "Oh, I've got worms," because I'm always hungry, and the whole bloody world gets hungry, and the more carbs you eat, the more you crave carbs. You end up bloody junk food every week for days on end, and all that processed food, it's going to knock you off 10 years off your life. Probably as bad as bloody smoking. So you go into soul. It's not easy to go into spirit unless you don't need anyone except God. All right. Let's be practical here, brothers and sisters. Can you live just for God and be happy and rejoicing every day of your life? But then again, where you live, your location is everything. What about if you live in an area where no one's friendly, where everybody's just what's the word? Resenting you or something, or shitty neighbours and all this sort of thing. You got to love your neighbour. My ex was at a place that had birds coming to her, big storks like birds, you know. She was a bird lady, beautiful, but it was a rented house and it cost $400 a week. That's a lot of money compared to the third world countries. And her kids got her out of there into their house, which was way out now, way out of whoop whoop, which means so far out that even an ambulance would take too long to get into the bloody hospital. And she's more miserable now than ever. However, every animal that we ever had is buried at that other house. All right? And she misses those birds. She misses the looking out and seeing people walk by. Had a nice football oval. And it even had a bird pond near the oval where the birds could come and drink. Cockies, you know, those galahs flying, or they all come to her. All right, she's missing that. Now she can't even look out. She's trapped in the soul. And I've been trying to preach, go into spirit, right? But when you're living with people, and of course her daughter's angry with her because she was married to a man 2 or 3 times older than her. It looked like Sylvester Stallone, the movie star, you know, Indian version. A big, strong guy he was, and he bashed her up, put her in hospital, nearly lost a kidney, blood transfusion, everything. And of course, they don't really accept that, the kids, that even happened. And that's a ground for divorce alone. I don't do that sort of shit. I swear. And I do get a bit angry because I've got Irish temper. And of course, my marriage didn't work out because she brought the whole family out. And I didn't even have money at the time, spare cash to bring them all out. She had to get help. And surprisingly enough, a lady in the Mormon church, an old lady who was half Indian or Indian, actually showed money to immigration. It had to go into her daughter's account So immigration would accept that to bring them out, and basically brought them all out. I did sponsor, but I got one out. All right, the youngest daughter, but to bring them all out, and the immigration was to interview us, and one question wrong, like what's your favorite color, this and that. They even got into the itty gritty, like how many times you have sex a week, and all this sort of nonsense. And if it differed from what she thought, the you'd be knocked back for another 6 months. It was hell, and I was living in the Middle East, a Muslim country, teaching in their schools, and wasn't getting much money, but it was something to do, and I got a lot of respect and honor and so forth out of that. I didn't know anything about this grace, but I did go to a grace church in that city with about 20 million people, mostly Muslim. A city with 5,000 Christians and almost 20 million Muslims. And you wouldn't want to steal there because you can get your hand chopped off or bashed or anything. Anyway, I come along, and she was like Bollywood material when I met her. Come to this country, wax cold, because in that country you can sit out on your balcony and the whole world goes by. Muslims at 4 o'clock in the morning going to church, mosques, and all these food carts everywhere, cooking corn on the cob and a nice cup of tea, and it was bloody good tea there too, better than here. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you could just go down and have a corn on the cob or breakfast, all waiting for you. All right, and you watch them cooking and everything. Everything's lively over there in the Middle East, in those sort of countries. And here, dead. There's more village here than it is there. I can tell you that. But she was not from the village. My ex, she was Bollywood material. Okay, very sad situation, because she never hated me. She was very angry because in some ways she wished she was still there with all the kids. See the ripple effect. But medical's terrible over there. If you get serious heart problems, her own sister died of cancer because she needed to fly out of the country to get a certain type of medical help. And it was too late. And she died. I was there. I actually sprinkled her ashes, a few of us. Very sad. And her sister was only in her 50s, okay? And when she was lying there, moments after her death, it's probably just a twitch on the nerves, but she was smiling. She went from dead to started to smile, because she was a beautiful Christian woman. I'm sure she'll be in heaven too. I met all her family, and I love family. And what can I say? How did we end up splitting up and all that? Look, it's a long story, and I've mentioned it in other videos. Okay, she was under a terrorist attack with the Muslims because she was a Christian reporter, which was on death row. Oh, long story. Because of me going over there, teaching in the Muslim schools, the judges dropped the charges because she was married to a foreigner. That's one aspect, right? That's one aspect. And of course, not Murdoch, but one of the sponsors of Murdoch, a billionaire actually, got her fleed out of the country when they were hunting her down. Come to this country, right? And she was here for 2 years working in an administration of the casino. Not the casino, but the atrium, the big resort next to it. Beautiful. And I met her, right? And I was auditioning to play piano and so forth. And I didn't get the job actually, but because the Asian guy had the job, he was doing really well, and of course, probably accepted less pay too. And then a letter came from the government, which was fake. Didn't know that at the time. I had a Nazi, neo-Nazi in the church who was racist, and he was racist against blacks and Asians and Jews. And of course, his wife is best friends with my first ex-wife, Mormon wife, temple wife. Nasty business. And she thinks she's all holy without sin almost. None good, Jesus said, but the Father. But anyway, I know I had a lot of trouble, my marriage with the Indian lady did break up. But that Nazi or his party forged a letter. It came from someone saying you have to leave the country or you'll be deported or you're breaking the law or something. And we just acted on that and packed our bags, and I lost my house and everything. I just left it and didn't even get, and we flew out and were stuck in a Middle East country for 2 years, and we didn't even have to leave. She was about to get her bridging visa or residency to live here. Life was ruined right there and then. We were setting our lives up here, right? That's the second thing. And then when we got to India, well, it was actually Pakistan, East Pakistan. And when we got there, we started getting death threat letters from the Nazis, so-called, if it was or not, that when we come back to Australia, they were going to break our marriage. They were going to terrorise us and everything. Don't bring her back to Australia. How put the shits up me, living in fear and terror. I was dealing with the Muslim situation. So when we come back to Australia eventually, and tried to settle, all that information against us was on their radar. And of course, they were enemies with the Chinese, the communists. But in some ways, like Hitler, the Germans were working with the Japanese. They're enemies to each other, yet the Japanese was on the side of the Nazis, weren't they? So the Chinese tuned into the radar and saw, who's this dude? And they put all this false information that I was dealing with drugs and stuff, and I hate drugs, money laundering, sex trafficking, all this made-up nonsense. The police come around everything, with detectives looking for drugs and interviewing me. It was all made up because of the power of the neo-Nazi movement. And the Chinese come down on us. Then the Chinese come down on us. And they killed every animal, slaughtered them. And there's a controversy they even killed my father. See, I've been through shit, I'll tell you that now, right? I know the soul suffering, right? Of course, that would break a marriage, pretty much. And then bringing the kids out, and they're all Catholic, staunch Catholic. And one day I called the Pope an arsehole, because I am not supporting the corruption of the Catholic pyramid Vatican. The Catholic people on the common level are good. I don't mind Catholic people, and they're not as strict as the Mormons. But in the Mormon church, on the top level, beautiful. They've got this beautiful purity and light. I like it. But on the lower level of the Mormon church, all I can see is hypocrites, wolves in sheep's clothing, nothing but dead men's bone, holding this Levitical priesthood, which is the priesthood back in the the Old Testament, right? And the Catholic priesthood is the counterfeit priesthood. All right, what is binded on earth will be bound in heaven. They claim the authority to seal up marriages, which wasn't biblical, but their lost book that the Bible had prophesied, they claim has been found, and it is a book that they cannot explain, but not much factual evidence of all these cities and names that existed on the maps and things. But anyway, Jesus says in the Bible, woman married 7 times, no husband in heaven, and then it contradicts itself and says, now we've got a chance. Well, you can be married in heaven, and that woman can now have a second chance. It's just all right. We won't get into this. I'm not here to preach heavy doctrine tonight. I would just like to emphasize the soul issue that's going on. There are sufferings, and there are people trapped in soul. Okay, if we can just escape all that and go into spirit like I have done for many months now, but I can go and eat a protein bar, or I can do all these things so my body is functioning, right? But now I've been told by the quack, which is the doctor, that I can't have all those things. All right, I'm going to go through withdrawals, dietary. I've got to do certain exercises and things. Otherwise, in 10 years, I'm going to either be bedridden in hospital or dead. So I've got to make these changes. And already I can feel the hunger, the desire to have a protein bar. See, we're spoiled here in the Western world. I mean, those people in the third world countries, are they getting protein bar every day? They're getting a bit of rice, and lucky if they get a vegetable or some meat. When I was living in East Pakistan, they were having a tiny bit of meat, and they had their veggies and their rice, right? I think that's how it works. A tiny bit of meat, yeah. And in the Asian countries, they have, I think, less rice, which means less diabetes, and more meats in the and veggies and things. So anyway, when you change your diet, okay, so straight away into the spirit, hallelujah. No, it doesn't work like that unless you, how can I put it? Um, there are people that are just born to preach in the spirit from day one, and they could be starving, they could be in ball and chain like Apostle Paul. But then again, Apostle Paul was not married. He had no responsibility whatsoever except to God. All right. So all you family people out there, I empathize with you. You got kids, you got mortgages, you got jobs you have to do. Of course, there's going to be soul trap. You're gonna have to worry. You worry about these things, and you think, okay, Lord, please take care of it. There are millions or billions of people on this planet, right? And look, the ripple effect. Nobody offered $20,000 to buy that house for that the kids were going to buy right next door for my ex to live for the rest of her life, with everything just fall into place. 20 grand short of a house, and I didn't have it at the time. I mean, I've got a little bit of money I do have. It's like investment with a little bit of interest, which is just enough to survive comfortably. All right, but still better off than the third world countries for life. And then now people are coming forth and saying, "Oh, there's the 20 grand. We'll help you." It's too late. They've moved so far away that not even my mum can visit. It's just so far away. Because the further out you go, the cheaper the houses are. All right. How sad. So anyway, I'm starting my diet, and it's not going to be easy. I can't eat every day, except one day or so I might have something, especially if I go out and socialise. That's going to have an effect on me because all my life I've always had these cravings for certain foods. I used to drink a lot of soy milk instead of milk because I had an allergy to milk, which I probably still do. I sneeze and cough, but I love milk, but it's high in carbs. Cream is actually better than milk. It's low in carbs, all right? And soy milk has got estrogen in it, which is a hormone or sort of a feminine thing. It can turn you gay when you're going through puberty. I mean, it's just drinking it like a gallon. I didn't know that about soy milk, and it can suck up vitamins and everything. But in moderation, soy milk is really good. It's very nurturing and sustaining. So I drink almond milk now. There is coconut milk, but I prefer the almond milk. All right, low carb, no sugar. All right, I'll be swigging that. Black coffee, and if even the cream is see, when you lower the carbs, you can increase the fats and you get the good cholesterol. But if you've got high carbs and high fats, it causes bad cholesterol. You end up with a heart attack and all sorts of inflammations and so forth. And then you can eat too much protein because you've lowered your carbs. You've got to eat, and so you start eating too much meat, especially red meat. And you get the joint pains and everything. When I went off meat for 2 weeks, I was vegan. I had no joint pain. After a few days, it was gone. But then I had the shits. I had the runs, everything for 2 weeks, just because I didn't eat meat. So I had to go back on it. I was starting to feel like a vegetarian zombie. But it did stop the aches and pains, all right? But then I was almost thinking going Buddhist because I was going into some sort of tripping astral thing. As soon as I ate the meat and had me nicotine or even a smoke or a drink, I was back to normal. And I can preach in the spirit. Those things don't really affect me. It's when I don't have those things that I'm fighting my own soul battle, because you go into soul because of the pain and the suffering, just like my ex feeling suicidal. And I just said, be thankful for your life. You had a good life. You've got kids. You've done it. You're going home to heaven. and apologise that things didn't work out because I'm anti-Catholic in that sense. I'm not anti-Catholic people, anti-Catholic Pope. All right, I will not give credence to the Pope, and all the kids, maybe except one or two, but they turn on me. They can't understand this grace. No one goes against the Pope. This is what split us up. Bloody religion split us up. And in the Latter-day Saint Mormon Church, the bishop that threw me up for 7 years over nothing, long story, look up my videos, that broke my marriage. Mormon neo-Nazis, racist people that hate the Jews and Asians and blacks. And now racism has been removed from the Mormon Church, and there are people in it thinking they're going to go to heaven. And they ruined my life. They ruined my ex's life. It's terrible, terrible situation, right? And how do you fix that? All right. You try to get back together, then you're attacked by ghosts and demons. I mean, I'm talking real stuff here, heavy stuff here, every time. I went there for Christmas, and the second night I was attacked by demons. It was pretty scary. I was screaming out, terrified. And I had no power at the time. Plus, I broke my. It was Christmas. I was eating everything. I was, everything, and my sugar went so high, and I went into a diabetic coma and everything. I couldn't wake up, and I was being attacked by demons and ghosts. And when I wake up, it's like the shadows just go straight through the walls, and all the family come running in. They thought I was having a bloody heart attack. All right. So it gets to a stage that ripple effect has made it impossible to even save that marriage. And you could think, God, please do something about it. But those negative energy and forces don't go away when something is not meant to be. And God will allow, like he did with Job, allow him to lose his wife, his family, his kids, and everything when he was actually not bad. He was actually good. And God allowed Satan to tempt him and cause that sickness. Satan didn't have any power at all unless God give it to him. He was one of the anointed of God's holy children. And then he got a new wife and new kids all come back, give him back tenfold. All right. Look, God hates divorce, and I don't even believe in it. I don't walk out that easy. And there's counselling and all sorts of things. Hopefully, Christian counselling, not these psychiatrists that anyway, Christian counselling, okay? Because we're trying to be Christian, all right? And then you get attacked by demons and ghosts. So you can't live like that. You got to get the hell out of there. It's not just the house. Say it's a haunted house. It's following you. That as a couple, you're terrified. You're living in absolute terror. It just can't work. All right. So I changed my life, and I know exactly what I need as a family to avoid all of that. And I've succeeded in that sense, where I have set up a foundation in my heart, and the principles apply. I've written a book called The 3 Levels of Happiness. And I apply all the principles of that book, refreshed, new start, no problem. All the way to death and heaven, all right? No problem. But if I try to go back to my past and try and make that work, it'll be miserable unto death. It is too late. And God chooses not to do anything about that. He allowed that marriage to crumble, and the first one as well, with the ex-Mormon temple wife. And then I even know the grace. I've discovered the truth that set me free, and yet no one wants to listen. It'd be extreme Catholic or extreme Mormon, all right? But I tried to preach the grace tonight to my Indian ex, talked her out of suicide, all right? So this video, if any of the enemies out there are watching this, you know who you are. I can't see you being in heaven. But we love our enemy and we move on. All right? People do change as they get older. But how about a sorry? How about an apology? No, not even the bishop in the Mormon church will ever apologize to me what he did. Threw me out for nothing. just like they threw a beggar out in the Mormon church who could never come back because he was so shunned and so judged, the way he was dressed, and he had a stink about him. Sisters complained and got him removed. Isn't that disgusting? Religion. One guy just blocked me after seeing the video where I dedicated, or not didn't dedicate, but it was to the anointing of my friend from years ago, became first counselor of the mission president, okay, Brother Andrew Reedy. I made a video a couple of videos back, all right, and I was blocked for that, or that's when I got blocked, because that video, even though I sent love and everything to Andrew Reedy, I express this grace, and priesthood without this grace it becomes priestcraft, which is a form of witchcraft, occultishness, soul cursing one another, judging, having authority. People aren't going to change just because you want them to. You can't change people. All right, people can't let go of religion because it's their comfort, it's their tradition, or whatever you want to call it, Catholic included, whatever. And they brought the kids up and everything, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. They're going to hang in there. All right, they got nothing. They feel they got nothing if they leave it. All right, true or not. With grace, you've got a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and that is what that's the most important thing. With or without a Bible, even you still got a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So I used the experience of my change of heart, and I actually helped the ex tonight, and I actually felt a comfort. I felt like at least the ghosts and demons laid off, all right? Because I listened for like, who knows, up to 4 hours. And I chose to be peaceful this time, all right? Though I had my last meal, enjoying my protein fixes, but tomorrow I'm off all of it for the sake of my health. I've got to lose 30 kilos, or I could be dead in 10 years. So I have to do it. I've got a problem. And that's why I'm making this video. So I'm glad I got to speak to the ex before I start the diet, and I had my fix, and I didn't, because I'm not smoking. I mean, I'm drug free pretty much, but I'm eating. I've been eating a lot, and I can't do that anymore. So I've got no fix now, pretty much, and I feel terrified because there's no escape at this stage. I mean, eventually I will go into spirit and I will escape, and but it normally takes about 3 weeks to change a habit. All right, diet or drug or whatever. You're on, okay? And I even got depression medication yesterday from the doctor, the latest one, because the other one triggered diabetes, made me eat like a horse. They all do to some extent, and drop me low blood pressure, which I do have, and end up fainting and all sorts of things. So I've got that medication if I'm going to need it, because I love my protein bars, and I can't eat like up to 5 o'clock every day. Or it's got to be like a 20-hour fast. I've got to lose this weight. I'm in serious medical problem that's hit me. All right. My heart goes out to all you people who have weight problems and issues. People out there are suicidal, have had opportunity after opportunity, and something goes wrong, like that house that come up 20. They put the price up $20,000, and my ex's son-in-law run out of money right next door, and the whole. It was like a lifetime opportunity going down the drain, over 20 grand. And when I was in Las Vegas, rich people, spending up $50,000 to $100,000 a bet on a slot machine, walk up to them and ask them, "Can I have the next $100,000, which you're going to lose in 1 second, for a friend heart transplant or whatever in a third world country, whatever?" F off. They will not give you that $100,000. They would rather gamble in a slot machine. Disgusting. You think these people will be in heaven? Harder for a rich man to get to heaven? What does it say? Easy for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man enter the kingdom of God. Most rich people I know are arseholes in the Mormon church, at least. I'm just saying the Mormon church at this stage. There are a couple of good ones, and they pay their tithes and whatever, and they're very generous in that way. But most of them are so proud and puffed up. And then again, you got the opposite extreme. Those who are pretty much like communists. They don't give a shit about money or anything. but they go and destroy lives and want everybody who is well off to be destroyed. Opposite extreme. They want to tear you down. And that's misery loves company. Oh, do we ever get it right, brothers and sisters? Anyway, it's been 40 minutes, and this has been a bit of a test video because of health issues. So I don't even know what to title it, but I'm going to come up with a title very shortly. I love you all, and I hope this video is in preparation for those who are suffering, even in soul trap and so forth, for medical reasons, whatever, or family relations, ripple effects that go on, decision making and so forth. But we can go into spirit, and as soon as we have get our head together, our heart together, get out of your head into your heart, and as soon as you get that peace, all right. But it's not easy to be at peace when you're starving, you're wanting food, you can't sleep, you might need a drug medication for some type of depression, and that's you get all your fixes in the Western world, right? And you can go on and say, oh, I've got the spirit, and I'm happy, and I've got my house, I got my car, and I even trade my car in every year and get another car, blah, blah, blah. All right. I am preaching to people who've got nothing. And if they've got something, they're not happy because they're in a dark place. Because no help is coming from nowhere. Not even from the rich. The rich are not helping. No one's helping. And it's very sad, and there's millions, all right? And someone won the lotto who was already well off. Somebody already a millionaire wins a lotto, $50 million or whatever. How is this so? Why does the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Think about it. Persecution as a Christian unto death, and try and do it with a glad heart. Well, you know what? Without my protein bars, I've had my first real test for this year, because I'm going to miss my protein bars. But obviously, it's only a very small sacrifice. But it'll take about 3 weeks to adjust. And I shall finish up this video now, just letting you know that I'm human, and I have my ups and downs and my flaws. And when I go into spirit, you shall see, and you'll see how I've come from this dietary change and medical health problem back into the bliss and the spirit and the light of Christ. Good night, my brothers and sisters, in the name of Jesus Christ.